back to Kailey's Chronicles. So the other day I was going through my old music books from when I first started violin, and I found this. Every student that has ever gone through Suzuki Book 1 will tell you that Etude is a really difficult piece. High two, low two, high two, low two, high two, low two. I thought it was really interesting that you could see my level of frustration drawn all over the page. And the funny thing is, now I can't even remember going through this or even ever struggling with G major scale or Etude. I find myself telling my students over and over again that everyone struggles with Etude because I noticed that everyone does. But why did I struggle? And why is it that everyone else struggles on Etude? What about this piece is so hard? What makes it so different than all the other pieces that came before it? I've been thinking about this piece a lot, and I think I have a few answers. The first thing that's really important is to make sure you're really ready to start this piece. And that means knowing all of the challenges that are involved in completing this piece. Let's start with what key it's in. Etude is in G major, and that's an unusual key because every other piece before that has been in A major. What does that mean? That means to learn how to play in G major successfully, you have to change your complete understanding of what the second finger does on the violin. It's the introduction of the dreaded low two. Since the beginning of your violin lessons, you have learned that your second finger goes in one place and one place only on the fingerboard. And suddenly you're told it can go in two different places. That gets pretty confusing. So before you start Etude, it's really important that you've been playing the 2-octave G major scale for a little while now, and you really know the difference between your low and high second finger. It's also really important to figure out where all the low and high twos are in Etude before you start playing. It has to do with the whole muscle memory thing. You want to teach your finger to go in the right place. A little trick that I use is that I highlight all the high twos before my students start the piece. And then we talk about how it's pretty much like G major scale. The high twos are on G and D string, and the low twos are on A and E string. Eventually, it should start feeling pretty predictable. The second thing that's tricky in Etude is that it can be kind of hard to memorize. There's a lot of repeated sections that can end up looping over and over again if you don't know how many times they're supposed to be repeated before you go on to the next section. The best answer that I have for this is to really listen to the recording and really understand the form of the piece before you start. There are a couple ways of looking at the form of a piece. You can split it up into different sections and label each section, or you could do what I did and make up some silly words that outline the different repetitions and sections of the piece. I've made a little recording for you with the words that I've written. I apologize, I'm not a great singer or piano player, but I did my best to put something together for you, and I hope you get the idea.
I have one cat, I have two cats, they have one tail. I have one dog, I have two dogs, I have three dogs, they have one tail. I have one cat, I have two cats, I have three cats, they have one tail. I have one dog, I have two dogs, I have three dogs, they have one tail. Arpeggio, and we go down G major scale. Arpeggio, and we go down all the way to G. I have one cat, I have two cats, I have three cats, and I can play scales all the way down to low G.
So once you know your G major scale, and you know the difference between your high and low twos, and once you can sing all the words to Etude and really know the form of the piece, then you're ready to start. Carefully learn each section of the piece. The smaller the sections you work on at a time, the better it will be. I always like to compare practicing in sections like eating a pizza. If someone asked me to eat a giant pizza in one bite, I probably couldn't do it. But if I'm sitting there watching some Netflix and I've got some pieces of pizza and I take it one bite at a time, I can definitely finish that whole pizza. So Etude is your whole pizza, and I would break it up into little tiny chunks. Start with just 4 notes at a time, stopping after each 4 notes to make sure you've got them right. Then you can add 8 notes or maybe even a line of music at a time. And before you know it, you'll be breezing right past Etude, and you won't even remember struggling with it in the first place. That's it for this video. Good luck on your Etude practicing. I'm sure you'll do great. If you want to see my channel grow, please click subscribe below. I post videos every Wednesday afternoon, and I will put my previous videos up here for you to take a look at. And don't forget, everybody's struggling with something on the violin. And apparently if you wait long enough, you'll forget struggling at it in the first place.